Went to the City of Jacksonville City Council work session on this May 8th of 2023. I call this meeting to order and roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Laster?
Here.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
All right, next is acceptance of the minutes. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
Hearing none. Once again, thank you, Brenda, for that. Item 4 is KiwiBot discussion. I believe we have someone, Zooming or FaceTiming with that, Tim?
Yeah, they're behind us.
So whoever wants to start the conversation. Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All good, all good. Thank you for this space. We are KiwiBot. I'm Mateo. I'm the head of government. I work on getting permits on public space for our robots. I would like to introduce Felipe.
Hello everyone, my name is Felipe Pinzon. I'm the Government Relations Manager, one of the legal analysts of the Government Relations team at KiwiBot.
And we have also Felipe Saña.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Felipe Zaina. I'm the operations zone manager, and I'm the directly point of contact between KiwiBot and Jacksonville State University Sodexo site.
So I understand that we have a little bit of time, so we're gonna be very fast. I will leave the word to Felipe Pinzon. He will explain a little bit about what we do as a company, what we're doing currently in Jacksonville, and our request for you.
Thank you very much, Mateo. So we are a last mile delivery company that uses PDD robots to deliver food across 30 universities in the United States. Currently, we are operating on Jacksonville State University campus. We have a partnership with Sodexo, and we deliver food to the student community. We want to operate in some specific points that are in the public right of way of Alabama and the city of Jacksonville. We want to expand our operational routes to include those points that are in public pedestrian infrastructure, specifically in public crosswalks and sidewalks. I just want to add that we have an operational team in Jacksonville that help us to ensure the security of our operation, and also we have a remote team that help us to monitor and supervise the proper operation of our PDDs in Jacksonville State University. Mateo, I leave to you.
We have been talking with the city and the state of Alabama, where they told us at the beginning that they deny our request for using public space. Felipe here, he can show you the specific map of where it would be nice for us to have those routes for the robot to operate. I will leave it until here. I don't know if you have any specific questions for us to answer. I know this is something new, but we have been incorporating this in many different cities and states, trying to create a form of regulations, right? I will leave it until here for if you have any specific question.
Do we have a hard copy of that anywhere? Nothing that we can look at?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I was just wondering if we had a hard copy that we could look at and really explore that a little more, because it's a little difficult to see where you want to operate.
For sure. I listen you very far away. Are you requesting a to send this to you?
Yes, please.
Yes, so, Felipe, can you send the PowerPoint?
We're just trying to look and see if we can find a little bit better detail of actually what you're requesting. I won't speak for the other council members, but we do have some concerns, with traffic and safety, crossing, state right-of-ways and things like that. Have you dealt with that in other cities?
Yeah, so, Felipe, can you show, the spec of the robot? So, as you can see here, our robot is very small, right? Because we care about, ADA community and all of that and spaces. So, it's very small robot. It has, 5 different cameras, two in the front, 2 in the sides, and 1 in the back, with a flag, where with those cameras, the bot can see what's happening around the environment, right? And it also has sensors. So what we have done with other cities is, we will show a demo, if you would like, any day, where you can see the bot in action. And previous our deployment on any university, we will do a pre-mapping remotely, where we see where the bot can have some difficulties, right, on crossing the streets or on the sidewalks. And after deploying on the real campus, we will do some testing, right, taking into consideration the Vision Zero, and that's what we have done with other cities. We have created MOUs, for example. Felipe can give you more details on that, where we will answer any concerns of the city about security.
Yes, as Mateo said before, we have worked in many departments of transportation, with State Department of Transportation and with many other cities, departments of public works. We were the first PDD operator company to apply for the PDD permit in the state of Pennsylvania. Also, we have helped the Maryland Department of Transportation in the implementation of the license process for the PDD operations in that state. We were the first PDD company implementing a regulation in Baltimore City. In the city of San Jose, we have implemented an MOU. It's a contract where KiwiBot and the city of San Jose have regulated and have marked all the conditions for the operation in the public right of way in that city. That was one of the first regulation or legal tools in the state of California, and based on that MOU, the city of Los Angeles implemented their regulation for the PDD operators to operate in the public right of way. We have worked with many other states like Texas, Washington State, the District of Columbia, Virginia, and we have also operated in public space in cities like Stephenville, Milwaukee in Wisconsin, Eau Claire in Wisconsin, and Winchester in Virginia State.
So I'm sharing here a link of, this is in Maryland. This was one of our first cases with the city, where they public on their website online, where they show how our operations works for any person to read about. So this helps us to create a framework with other cities that doesn't have any regulations or doesn't know how to regulate us, to start working on setting some rules for us, and they have some learnings about our operations, and we're always committed to have touch base and answer any questions.
What's your liability insurance? How high does that go, and what does it cover?
question?
Your liability insurance, the insurance that you carry to cover for mishaps and whatever, what's the limit? How high do you go as far as covering if it's causes a vehicle wreck and you got a lot of things going on? How well does your insurance cover?
Yes, yes. Give me just one moment, please, and I will answer your question I have here. Just one moment. Perfect. Yes. So we have insured the entire operations, because we have to comply with many state laws that obligate the PDD operators to have an insurance to be able to operate in public and private spaces. So we have a cover limit of $1 million. For the type of insurance that we have is a commercial general liability, automobile liability, and umbrella liability, sir. That's the policies that we have in terms of insurance.
This is something, of course, we can share after this meeting with you, and this is also a request of Sodexo for us to have a contract with them. So yeah, this can be shared with you, this document.
Have y'all had any conversation with the Alabama Department of Transportation about permitting them to cross the state highway?
So, sorry, sir. Could you repeat the question, sir? I'm sorry.
Have y'all
I
had any
didn't
conversation with Alabama Department of Transportation about the key box crossing a state highway?
I have are you asking us how do we how our technology is able to transit in crosswalk, sir?
A state highway.
On a state highway. Mateo, I don't know if you could tell him a little bit how our technology works and how we interact with crosswalks and with state crosswalks.
I would particularly like to know what kind of discussion you have with the Alabama Department of Transportation.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, we have talked with the director Dustin Brown of the Alabama Department of Transportation, because some of the spaces that we ask to operate are under the jurisdiction of the Alabama Department of Transportation. He told us that currently there is no regulation for PDDs in the state of Alabama, but he told us that like the final word is in the hands of the city of Jacksonville, and if we operate in the public right of way that is under the jurisdiction of Alabama State, they hope and they want that in every single emergency or risk that could occur in our operation, we immediately mitigate it, sir. That's what we have talked with Mr. Dustin Brown.
The only other request I would have would be some of those draft copies or some of those MOUs that you have with other municipalities. Can we see some of those also?
For sure, sir. If you want, after this meeting, I will send you some of the licenses processes and the MOU that we have signed with other cities, sir. If that sounds great for you.
Yeah, we're sending that, and like the processes that we have done with the different authorities around the U.S. And also we're gonna send you our emergency response where you can see specifications about the robot, how our operational team works in the zone, and like the operational map that we are currently operating, that it's in private space in the university, and yeah, the ones that we will be requesting for public space. And yeah, if you see that it's important, we can have a demo. We have done a lot of demos to the authorities, to the city. I think it's very important for you to see the bots in action, so you can have a little bit sense of what we're doing around the university.
Anything?
Do you have any more examples you can send of other cities that are maybe our size, our configuration with the school, and what you wanna try to do?
Yes, for sure, sir. If you want, after this meeting, I can send you a comparative chart where we have analyzed different regulations across the United States regarding the PDs, and also I could share with you the email contacts of the public officers from many Department of Transportation who we have worked with, and I think that it will be very interesting if you talk with them and they can share with you the experiences regarding the PDDs and regarding the work that we have done with them, if you want.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Anything? Well, I don't believe we have any other questions. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll look into this. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for listening.
Take care.
Before you move on, you want to let Chief talk a minute about where this morning found out.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna ask, I've asked his opinion before, but I wanted to know him, and if you got any additional
We had
information.
a conversation with the state this morning.
Yes, sir. So this morning, we happened to be in a meeting with some of the ALDOT officials, specifically the area manager, and I think somebody else from their legal department. And their thought process on it is if you don't know, we're having meetings with them about our pedestrian problem and how to best solve that issue. And so their take on it is it's pretty hard to approve something that's gonna make the pedestrian issue a lot harder with the problem we already have. And they also suggested that we not be the first city to allow something like this to be on the state right of way, because what they say, there is no precedent set legally on who's at liable fault if somebody has a wreck or a Kiwi bot causes a wreck while they're crossing a state roadway. And they suggested that the city of Jacksonville not be the first to test that out to see what liability is. So, you know, their thought process was as long as we're trying to solve our pedestrian issue, we didn't need to add the Kiwi bots to it on further troubling our pedestrian issues. And what we also found out in that conversation this morning, a lot or some of the area where they want to operate at, the sidewalks probably won't allow them to do that just because of, you know, how bad or how bad a shape some of those in already.
That's what I was thinking.
So they were, you know, expressed some ADA issues on some stuff that ALDOT's gonna give some attention to pretty quickly, but again, they suggested that it not be something that we do on the state right away.
I think that's pretty convenient for
All I
ALDOT,
need to
because
hear.
we're not allowed to do anything on the state right of way, but now it's up to us to decide whether we wanna do this or not.
That's right.
Yeah. We can't dictate anything that happens, but now we can.
Yeah.
I think they made it pretty clear whose lawyer's gonna get the first call. Lee, you wanna ask, Liv's at that meeting too, she wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I just appreciate, I'm here just to kind of sit in and listen to what they had to share as well. We're pleased with the agreement that we have with KiwiBot on the internal side of our campus, the way they're operating, you know, within the campus boundaries. So we'll leave that up to the city to decide and then grow our agreement through Sodexo, really is who has the agreement with KiwiBot to service our students. So we'll yield to y'all and go from there, should there be any changes in operation or anything.
Have y'all had any problems?
No, I
Them
asked
calls
Chief
in.
Barton, matter of fact, last week, there's been no reports of any accidents or, incidences with KiwiBot. They, students have received it well and, understand, they kind of get out of the way now too as they're coming down the sidewalk, and then KiwiBot will pause, when it approaches you, so. Other than, the few little hiccups at the first, they figured out their paths and they are all controlled, and there's actually somebody on campus viewing that as well, and if one gets in distress or falls over, someone will attend to it, and KiwiBot, even the students will help it, because it's sitting there, help me, so the students are good about taking care of it, but there's been no incidents or accidents with it on campus. So.
But the problem with that is that's a controlled atmosphere up there, and cars are not going 45, 50 miles an hour down the road.
Right, I understand what you're saying, yes, you're right.
You don't try to cross those crosswalks sometimes on campus like I do.
No, I don't. I try to
But
stay
you're
away
right,
from
that's,
crosswalks.
I agree 100%.
But it
That
is a
is
bubble,
totally,
yeah.
totally
We're in a
different.
different world, and that's,
And even if we, I hate to say no, because I know it's a good program, I think it's being used. If not, they wouldn't want to expand. It's kind of like when we did the bicycles, the rental bicycle things. I think that it's a need, or it's just an additional thing to help, especially in a college town. But I still can't get my head wrapped around it coming on across 21, Pelham Road, whatever you want to call it. If there's
we
some
don't
way,
wanna be the
if there's
first
some way we
guinea
could
pig either.
dictate that it stay within,
Yeah.
maybe expand the coverage area, but not to the full extent that they want to cover it in. But then it's gonna depend on right of way and sidewalks, and I don't know how it could, because we're limited on sidewalks.
well,
Also.
They could
we
not
don't wanna be
operate
the
on those
first guinea
streets.
pig.
Right, they can't operate
Yeah,
on.
they
on
could not
any
operate on the
of
street because they can't maintain
And
them.
some of our sidewalks aren't in good shape
Right.
for 'em to-
I was the
That's a whole
first guinea
other
pig.
discussion.
yeah.
They came to do a demonstration, they did it at the train depot, and I was asking about it, stopping for pedestrians, and they said, oh, yeah, well, let's demonstrate. They carried it to the back of the train depot and asked me to stand out in the middle. He came charging it to me, it didn't stop.
Oh, goodness.
Really?
I rest my case.
He said, okay, we take it over to the side, work on him a little bit.
He wasn't paying attention, was he?
It was funny, they were kind of.
Was it distracted on its device or something as it ran into
It was on
you?
his
He
phone.
was on his
Is
phone.
Was it?
something we decide tonight?
No,
I know-
no.
They gonna send info.
And we'll look at it and go from there.
The only thing that I would think could be a possibility is if it could operate outside of those state areas, and I don't know where.
Yeah,
I mean,
keep
Mountain,
looking
the
at-
sidewalks on Mountain Street, on the north end of Mountain are in good shape. But crossing, once you get across over there, thinking about,
I haven't been on in a while, I don't.
Yeah,
actually
and-
know.
how do you avoid Pelham Road?
That's the
You
problem.
couldn't cross, I mean, from where they're stationed at, they could operate north and south of west of Pelham Road, because there is a sidewalk that
Yeah.
goes all the way from 11th Street all the way down to Johnson's. That's
Yeah.
no breaks, but once it got off there, how would it mitigate all the traffic? But I'd like to see their proposal, I'd like to see what
I
they're.
agree.
You
And
think-
maybe if we continue the conversations with Aldott, maybe
Yeah.
there's others, because I just looked at, it looks like KiwiBot got funded through a finance group for an additional 10 million just in the last 90 days. So they're trying to roll out,
Mhm.
so there could be others that are in these conversations too.
And what kind of MOUs they have with other entities?
That's what I'd like to see, how many is still in TAC and how
But
many are not.
I'm gonna assume we're not the first to have some of these issues or thinking of issues that may already be worked out.
And there's some delivery as a service operating in Jacksonville already, because I know you've got DoorDash, and I don't know if there's Grubhub that operates. I don't think I'm not aware of that one, but I know DoorDash does, and so this is a eco-friendly option.
You don't think they'd be interested in building an overpass? And that way, there's a little way to go over that pass, and we can get,
Terry's always thinking, Terry's always going to the next level. Thank you for that.
I mean, that
Thank you, Chief, by the way, thank you for that. Anything else on this? All right, I think we got the chief again, special response team. Chief,
Oh, it looks nice.
I know it.
that's why. You know, I always worry when he addresses this.
So I guess if you have any questions for me, the second part of it is Ms. Grant's gonna take that second part to talk about funding and where we can pay for it from.
Oh, really?
Well, I'll ask this. I think we talked about it last meeting.
Yes, sir.
Is there a response from law enforcement side as well as from
Fire department.
from the fire department? But yeah, kind of, because I know that you'd have to have both in order for that to work, right? It's not, I mean, I guess you could without the rescue side.
I have 5 submittals for people right now.
There you go.
Wow, that's good.
And
I
I
wasn't
think I saw your
necessarily
numbers
concerned
too.
about
You
that, but I
had,
was
you had
just-
several that applied,
We
or that
probably
are
have about
interested.
14 or 15.
That's about what you thought.
Yes, sir.
All right, since the last meeting, have you had a chance to figure out the availability of equipment? And if we start getting it, I know it's probably September, October before you're probably ready to go with train stuff. After that, but I mean, is the availability, is any of that gonna kick it back to where you're not gonna be up and going relatively soon, I guess?
It was kind of real hard, with some of them, it was hard to give an exact on whether they had it in stock, because it depended on sizes. You- But some of them had a bunch of the stuff in stock ranging from different sizes, so they felt like they would be able to get it out in 30 to 45 days, once it was ordered.
So you'd be looking at probably having everything in-house by August,
Yes, sir.
somewhere along there.
And did I dream it up? I know you and Chief Barton have had conversations.
Correct.
Did Chief Johnson at Piedmont, have y'all talked, or?
We talked
Chief Bush?
briefly, we haven't, we were waiting to, after
Okay.
this before we had a formal discussion about it.
Great idea. It's like a lot of great ideas, and since she kind of threw you under the bus, Ms. Burt. I'm sure you two had this worked out ahead of time. But my concerns is how do we pay for it? And I'm not saying it's not needed, but there's a lot of things that are needed that we just don't have the financial, ability to move forward with.
Okay, so I gave you your, a monthly status report today. And really, if you look at the last page, is where we would be at to determine funding. And when you look at this page, I would tell you where we have funds at that we can do anything with, really is the first green line there. So any and everything that you do, really at this point will need to come from that
Capital
line.
fund.
Yeah, that's the capital project fund. It's really a general fund account. It is, of course, monies that we moved out of general fund to set it aside for you all to be able to do projects, capital projects. So whatever cost that we would have for this, whether it's Eastwood, no matter what it is that you're talking about, you really have this one pot of money here that you need to be focused on in terms of what we need to do.
We're looking at 160, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And Chief and I, we talked about recurring costs, and it appears, at least from this point right now, the recurring costs will be kind of minimal kinds of costs. Some of the equipment, after he orders the individual equipment, there is other just standard equipment that they will need on a regular basis. I think that's gonna be, I think you said 5-year shelf life on a lot of the stuff.
Yes.
So we won't be ordering a lot of that kind of equipment, but that is some recurring costs. And of course, there will be training, that will be another portion of some recurring costs that will happen. Perhaps the biggest expenditure, and of course, we don't know all of the personnel. I think he's got a plan, as he's planning to utilize the team, would be that they wouldn't need additional people, but there will probably be some overtime, and he's got a way of managing that, as well as what his plan is. But we can't expect, it's hard to kind of nail it right down as to what the future costs would be. But the biggest portion seems to be just getting this equipment. And I think we're talking about, $133 individual and then plus the other minor things, so I
About
think we
160.
should be max 160 is what would be needed to get the equipment.
Well, if you take it up from that 3.2 and take 160 out of it, it still leaves you 3.1 in the bank. But you look, my thing,
Everything?
No,
you look at it this way, everything that's been going on day in, day out.
yes.
And every time you look, the first things you see are SWAT team members, majority of the time being around. And I just, with the area we're in, I think it'd be money well spent.
Well, you have my limited knowledge, you do have a more of a comfort level when it's your people that have been trained and are executing a type of event, if something, God forbid, something like that happens. Not saying that any other organization come in and do as good a job or better, but you have a more of a comfort level when you know that it's your employees that are there doing
And
it.
they've been in a lot of these buildings anyhow.
Yeah, you're talking about a very specialized group of people on a very specialized situation that's just specialized for Jacksonville. And that's
I think we need
a
to do
plus.
it. That's my thoughts.
All right? Nothing? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chief.
Now, where do we go from there? Is that something we have to vote on, or is it, Bert, what,
Amendment.
Mayor?
You got vote to spend the money,
This budget amendment.
budget amendment.
So do we, are we ready
Can
for
we do
that?
that tonight, Patty? Can you get that together?
First you'll have to do that resolution to establish it with all the.
The team.
Yes. And then the other thing that, I don't think you mentioned was about spit victim money. Like authorizing the mayor to go ahead and just be able to sign it as it goes without having to come back to the council.
Anytime
for
there's a-
checking
Up to the
everything.
160,000.
200,000.
I think the 160.
I heard you,
Yeah, I know. He kind of mumbled that. Yeah, I mean, that's fine if we can do it that way. I think that'd work out better. Because we know we put a cap on it to the 160. Or if it's over the 160, you have to come back to council for it. So we're good, Patty? We're good? All right, any other questions on that? Okay, that's great. Item 6 is, fire engineer, paramedic job description. Chief?
We found a slight error or typographical error, possibly an omission in the, every job description in the fire department has a fire EMT and a fire paramedic. The fire EMT was good. What I'm asking for under necessary special requirements is the bottom line. This is what I would like for it to say: must currently be a full-time firefighter with Jacksonville Fire Department, have 2 years or more years of full-time fire service. The current job description just says 2 years of full-time service. It don't say fire or anything else, so we just need it to match the EMT one. So I think it was just an omission, possibly a typographical error when the job description was written, and it never had been an issue to this promotion, so just need
Sure.
to get that fixed.
That sounds easy enough.
Yeah, that's easy. Thank you, Chief. What, is there any other business that needs to be addressed?
Yes, I want to address, oh, you gotta go, I'm sorry. You
Mark,
can first.
Mark.
I'll be glad to go last.
Want to talk to you a little bit about a ordinance that we currently have on the books that, we have contractors that are using the trash and debris service from the street department where they, where the citizens are paying them and they're using the trash and debris service, and the city's having to foot the bill to haul it off, but, and we have to rewrite the ordinance. I provided you a copy of what it currently says, and then I've got a proposal with the ordinance number that we haven't put on there yet, but just tonight, we just wanna let you know what we're thinking. So we we wanted to change it from where it said, a contractor was responsible for hauling off the debris, but if they didn't do it, it reverted back to the homeowner. We didn't want that because there's no penalty for a contractor, it just reverts back to the homeowner. So anyway, we reworded the section A, 1981A, and we took out all the types of contractors and simplified it to say, of any person or business acting as a contractor or company. That's the wording that we use to simplify and taking out all those contractors. That way it covers more than what was just listed. And we also removed small brush because the street department will pick up grass clippings and stuff from a contractor, but when you add small brush, the contractors think small brush is huge trees to them. So we took that out, and then we added where it said where health and sanitation was not being paid for. We added that terminology in there. If it's not being paid for, we won't pick it up, period. If it ain't being paid for on your water bill, the H&S on your water bill, if it ain't on there, it don't get picked up. So, we also removed that all construction debris must be removed before final inspection by the building department. I have no clue what that was in there for. It's never been used. I don't really inspect any debris. I don't know if they're talking about a job site or what, but all the contractors haul their own stuff off anyway. I've never had a problem with it. So we just removed that. And then we added a little section at the very end. It says, it tells what happens if the contractor does not remove the said material, which it does not go back to the homeowner now. It's their responsibility. And there's a code section in the beginning of the code of ordinances that actually has the penalty, and that last section refers to that penalty. So it's pretty simple, and we're just asking that y'all take it in consideration of passing this ordinance to help our code enforcement officer. And we also talked, Ronnie Couch, Stanley Carr, and myself have all discussed this. We got help from Richard Gray. He gave us some samples of other cities. We took bits and pieces and put it together, so.
Everybody was good with the 10 days.
Yes,
Another
yeah.
2 days.
Yeah. So, Richard nodded yes. He blessed him.
So does this have to be posted and all that, first reading, second reading?
Yes, it does.
I think so.
And it don't have to be added tonight. We can do
Right,
it.
yeah, we'll wait,
No,
we'll wait.
Okay.
But thank you for doing this, because I know we had an issue with what the verbiage, and it caused us some problems months back.
You might want to verify when that 10-day period starts. Is it from the beginning of the job, the end of the job?
Yeah.
Because some jobs, like, you might have a contractor comes out there and gets a job done in 1 day, and then, of course, it's gonna be 10 days from the time that he's done with his job in that 1 day. But what if you have a contractor that's out there for
30-day
a week
job.
working on something? Is it 10 days from the start of the job, 10 days from the time the
Stanley
debris
put,
gets made?
Stanley
or 10
put that
days
in
from
there,
the
so
start?
I don't know what he.
I think when the stuff shows up on the street, I mean, you may have somebody that's there for a year working on something. You can't let it sit
Well,
there
no, I
for a
agree
year
with that, but
too.
It should
On the,
probably be
yeah.
specified
Yeah.
because.
10 days from the
you don't,
moment
then
that it's
you're gonna
placed
have
on
Yeah,
one of the
placed
same
on.
For
things
pickup.
Where they're gonna be like, well, it just says within 10 days, it doesn't say within 10 days at a certain time.
I like 10 days from the time it's put on the street. Or, I
We
mean,
can add that.
not on the street, but.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's gonna be put there for convenience to be picked up typically,
Right.
you know.
Thank you.
Most of the ones that are there for long periods of time are not the ones that you normally have problems with, but for the
Right,
sake of the
I
time that
agree,
you
yeah.
do, you should probably verify it.
So right now, does Stanley or does the street department, are they seeing some habitual issues? I know of one issue in particular, but does it appear to be,
There's more now than I've ever seen.
okay,
Yeah. I mean, it's a, Ronnie just keeps on bringing them in. And I've never seen it enforced like he's doing with the trash and debris. He's really holding the contractors, or trying to hold them accountable, but he just needs a little bit more clarification to
Mhm.
make it work.
well, kind of, I guess the audit for that would be when a permit is filed for construction. That'd be one way of knowing that that was a service. Lawn service maybe is a little bit different. I mean, I know I see several large limbs and things that are removed
Running-
by what I would imagine is to be a paid service. If it's a service that's in kind, you know, if somebody says, look, I know that this homeowner is not physically able, we just do this to help that homeowner out because we know that they might be not able to get out and do that on their own. Is there any provision for an in-kind service?
Should
I mean, I know of a lady that's near me who's not physically able to do her lawn, and she pays for somebody to do it, but I don't know if what they put on the curb, you know. I say she pays, I guess she pays. They might do it out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, you're not considered a contractor unless you're paid.
Yeah.
You do something for free. And that's a different issue probably.
I know that muddies it up, and that's what you attorneys like to get into anyway, right?
But your thought is not that if somebody cuts down a tree for free, the city's gonna pick it up? Or the contractor, the volunteer contractor has to police that up, not the city?
Well, I think that's part of volunteering, is take care of the whole thing.
I do too, but I'm also knowing that it becomes
Yeah, but I'm not gonna cut a tree down for you, but that, I mean, I wanna haul it off the street.
That-
If you can do that, I'm gonna cut it down and let you
yeah.
handle that part too, I mean.
Well, that's kinda like the garbage cans that elderly and people can't do. They need to come into City Hall and apply for, they apply for a exemption.
And backdoor service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Ronnie has already demonstrated good faith in enforcement of it. But the letter of the ordinance does not provide, I mean, you're right, a contractor's a paid service. I don't know if anyone would be compelled to demonstrate that they did not pay for something. The burden of proof would be on you did pay for it, not that you didn't pay for it.
What about somebody brings it to somebody's house, family member's house and dumps it, then we're
Well,
gonna
that
pick it
happens
up?
quite a bit.
Yeah, but it's not, it's only supposed to be picked up on the property it's generated from.
Yeah,
Well, how you gonna monitor that?
Well, you can't.
We've dealt with that.
Well, yeah, that's supposed to be, but my corner has become the community dumping spot. And I got several neighbors that decided this.
And we
good
work on,
place.
we work on individual situations where if we get a complaint or whatever, we look and try to figure out how to stop it. I mean, by either putting a sign up or watching that area, having somebody else. It's almost like anywhere you go in the city of Jacksonville now, you're on camera somehow. Some neighbor's got a camera or whatever, and people have said, hey, we got them on video if you want them. They've been dumping here, and we go look at it and handle it from there. So,
I think whatever helps Ronnie,
yeah.
Exactly.
you know, makes it easier for him.
Do you think, I mean, a lot of you that worked on this is, I know it's not probably permanent or the end all of end alls, but do you think, is there any other things you need to add to or delete from this document to make it even
I
better?
don't think not from this section that we're talking
Okay.
about, because the trash and debris ordinance in the code, it's got a lot of stuff. I mean, we're not even touching on a lot of different areas of that, but, the one thing that I do think we need is some way better to enforce garbage cans not being pulled back up to their houses. I mean, I'm getting complaints on that, and we go out and we talk to people, we pull cans up, we put notices on cans, but as long as I've been here, there has never been a fine imposed on somebody not pulling their can in. I kinda think we should do like a strike three rule. We make a spreadsheet and we put on here, we talk to the people, we, put a letter on the can. And third strike, we pick up your can, we carry it to City Hall, maybe not our new City Hall, but somewhere, street department. We put it in, we impound
Impound the trash can.
and then you, pay to get it out. And then the fine just keeps going up.
We've even made pamphlets for them to hand out that explains all the rules.
That's just gonna be bagged and put on the
stuff.
street.
I was about to say, pretend.
All complaints go to Mark Williams.
And they, and these people call back.
Nice area where it would be graduation.
But they call me back and they're like, you didn't do nothing. I'm like, well, you don't know what we did. We pulled in, cleaned the whole street up, knocked on all these doors, and
Well,
told the people, and then they call back again and say, well, it's still just like that, because it repeats again the next week.
So, we have no monetary, anything attached to what a fine would be if they basically beat your three strike.
There's not anything on garbage cans, is there?
Not that I know of, but I have specifically looked for that, I can.
Hey, we need to, I think you start with $25 and keep going up every time it happens.
I think $25 would get their attention. It wouldn't mind.
And I don't know, can Ronnie write us?
I mean, that's just throwing money away.
He's ready to, I mean, I'm just telling you, he's ready, he's like, I'm about to write citations for this, but just, I mean, people are not listening to us, we're
Right.
telling them what they gotta do, and they just don't listen.
Well, I like your three strike, then maybe even a graduated penalty. Once you get, once you get to the third strike, then you start being penalized, and then if you get penalized again, that even increases per penalty
And
up to an amount.
And the strikes could come off after no problems for, cause you know, when it happens too.
New batter, no strike.
Yeah, that's what, I don't know what your conversation was, but,
Looking nasty, man.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not our can.
yeah, what's
Yeah,
the,
that's the problem.
with Republic Services, where are we with that?
We have a contract.
To provide, they provide the service.
Right, they provide the can, they're none of our cans, that'd be the problem about confiscating cans.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, they furnish those.
That would be my issue.
But yes, to what other problems, I think that's our other big one. But other than that, I haven't heard Ronnie say anything else about what he's dealing with. He's fixing to enter into his second grass season, so.
Yeah.
Well, and the post that was put out recently, I think helped, reminded me I gotta bag those grass clippings.
Yeah, I didn't bag mine today.
Which we might wanna
I'd
put
stop
up
bagging.
more posts that it's
There's
time
mulch in
to
them.
start keeping
Y'all
your
gotta
grass
be an
cut.
example.
No, so I didn't put it to the curb today.
Not bag.
Well, why can't we just
Well,
go
you have a
ahead and
better
do,
lawn.
let them do the research about what we can and can't do to put a little
Teeth behind.
teeth
Well, and
behind it?
really, research that and see and bring it back. Only thing I could see that be something you would need to look at if you had someone physically unable to.
Again.
But that's
Move
where
the
they
track.
go to
Those
see.
go back
Yeah.
to the,
We have
yeah.
backdoor service
Mhm,
that
right.
they can apply for, and, where they do get out and go get the can from.
Well, I appreciate that, because that's another issue we have about getting that information, getting information out that
Ben's
people.
done real well at doing, I don't know if we've done a backdoor one, we might need to do a backdoor one, Ben, but he did a real good piece on the, trash exemption for those that are disabled and veterans that only have that type of, income, and we
Yeah.
have that also for trash exemption, and then we have the backdoor service also, so.
And that is a city comp,
No,
or is that Republic?
no, it's actually, I believe both, I'm not sure about the back door, but I know that the trash exemption, that's a federal program.
And that driver actually gets out of the truck and does it, don't he?
They have to prove that that's their only income.
Yeah, that's good.
But the backdoor service, I'm not sure about it. They still pay for their service on backdoor, they just have to provide us with a copy of a note from a doctor that says that they are physically unable to carry the can to the end of the road. And then they're required to have it at a certain spot by their house in order
And
for
accessible,
the
yeah.
Republic to get out and go get it.
Thank y'all for taking it in consideration.
No, thank
No,
you.
I think this
Research
helps
it, let's go.
with the trash and debris big time.
Yeah, that's good.
And also tonight, I wanted to introduce y'all to our newest, member of our building department. This is Rob Foster.
After he sat through this, he's still willing to stand up.
Yeah, he's come back- he's come back
I
three or
think that's
four
pretty
days.
good.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to the city council, city of Jacksonville, especially City Hall and Mark Williams, teaching me so much.
Already?
Already 4 days.
Well,
Oh, that's scary.
Well, Mark's a vast well of knowledge, so yeah, get all you can from him.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Get the big
Anything else? You wanna go ahead?
I'm gonna pass out a,
don't do
No,
that.
do CPR then.
well,
Do
if I'm gonna
CPR.
pass out, at least we got some people here to take care of it.
He's gonna tell everybody, I'm gonna pass out, y'all get ready.
Yeah, I know. Let us know ahead of
I heard
time.
that alarm go off, so we know why.
We got our cameras ready.
10 minutes.
I don't have no piece of camera.
Look, Mayor,
Can we get a public video?
I'll give
more
it.
pieces.
There you
Oh,
go.
thank
You
you.
can do it.
This is a sheet that
Oh, my
Ben has been
goodness.
nice
Y'all need
enough to
that.
help put together. If everything goes well, the next Monday, we'll have the individuals coming to look at the school. So
And
we,
if someone here did not see Councilman Wilson on, the news last week, you missed out you missed.
missed out on a good laugh.
Special event. No,
We've
you
got
look
it filtered
great.
on our TV so the kids can
I'll
see
pass
that
this
kind of
out,
stuff.
so y'all may wanna look at this.
You got the PG rated.
I'm hurrying, okay?
This is nice.
Thank you.
You know, that's one, hey, yeah, y'all may need one for security. What we did, Ben and I got together, this is kind of a thought process that in trying to sell and trying to make everyone understand what we're doing, we took the old picture and we're honoring the past. And then we took the new picture, basically, if it's finalization of what we do, we're building for the future. And then we have just a short bio of what we're doing, why we want to do it. And then on the back side, I gave out my, the back side's got where the layout of the rooms, I got layout of the rooms, and then about what it would cost to sponsor the room, the overall building, baseball field. And we want to use this next week as a sampling to the people that are coming in, because if they would buy into some of these numbers, then we're moving relatively quickly on getting the funds we need to start the school back. Last time we talked about, Mayor, can we go ahead and what do we need to do to get the bid to get the roof and the windows and outside doors, where we can at least have a number of what that would take?
We need somebody to write up specs.
All right, does that has to be the architect, or can, as far as having a roofer come and they can give a roof and they all, I mean, surely to goodness, they know how to put a roof on and what it's gonna build the price, and then the windows the same way.
Yeah, but with bids, Terry, you have to send out specific specs that say exactly what it is you're looking for, so that everybody is bidding on the same exact thing, instead of having somebody give their idea of what you think you might need, and their idea of what you think you might need, and their idea of what you think you might need. You get three different things.
It's hard to get a roofer to give you an estimate because they're pretty sure it's gonna be over $75,000 and you're gonna have to bid it. So they don't wanna tell you what they think it is, cause then they're gonna have to turn around and bid
We
it.
basically know they're gonna have to take all the whole roof totally off and rework
Yeah,
it.
they don't
But
know what
I would
kind of
like-
shape the decking's in. It's a tough one.
But would it not be, efficient to find out what shingle roof would be versus a metal roof? And I mean, the metal's probably gonna be more expensive, but at least we would have a cost comparison of how much decking and everything's gotta be done on that. Is that, Mark, Mark and Mark? What's your opinion?
I'm just really concerned about the structure. Yes, decking, I guarantee you, I would say 75% of the decking will probably have to come off. But then, what kind of shape are the trusses in? Has the water gone through the decking and gotten into the trusses?
We know there's a couple of spots there that's gonna have
But
some
that's what's
issues.
gotta be identified and described on how to fix it.
Well, to me, we would bid it, ripping everything out because of mold, mildew, whatever
Bless you.
else.
Thank you.
And you, bless you.
Thank you.
And that way we don't have to have the question mark of what's gotta be done. And then the
I would say
windows,
just bank on
I
all
just
the
think,
trusses at this
and
point.
y'all can tell me to shut up, but we need to go ahead and get prices and get moving on this. I talked to Janice, she's gonna start getting it cleaned up, the fence and all that good stuff. And if we can, as far as the city could get a plan to where we could get that roof and those windows in, it's gonna be a whole lot easier to sell everything on the inside.
Well, you and I've discussed that, but I know it may be complicated, but it's possible to do. I know we're trying to hit some hurdles here, and you and your group's been doing a great job to get us to this point, and we don't need to pump the brakes. If we're gonna move forward with this, so how do we do this? I mean, how do we get someone to come in and tell us exactly what we need to do?
Somebody's gonna have to crawl in the attic and look at those spots where the holes
Yep, that's not me, so who is that?
What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
That sounds pricey.
Yeah, you can't afford me.
You man on the totem pole.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's gonna be important.
Yeah, Rob
to get
saying
some
there, I'm
numbers.
not going up
Yeah,
there.
but I think in order to get the numbers, you gotta know how much of the decking is bad. Or if,
Yeah.
you know, wherever the holes are, you know it, around that area,
Spray it.
it's gonna spray it. But I think, I haven't ever seen up in the attic that far, don't even know where to get into it.
So is it, so with this, we don't stall here, do we simply hire someone or try to get someone just to simply remove all, shingles? And go ahead and have it removed? Because you can't see what the decking to get the shingles off.
Or the trusses.
Or the trusses, then you have to get the decking off to get the.
You're gonna get underneath, that's what you
Look
need
at
to
it
do.
from the underside.
I don't think you wanna open the entire.
No, because
top.
then you really open up an
Mhm.
issue,
Yeah.
so.
But,
I think you're gonna need to
Just
hire
get an
somebody like an
inspection.
architect to go in there and truly evaluate it and then write the spec to fix what the issues are.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, get an inspection.
and I think there's some trees that are overhanging the roof now that are gonna, those limbs or the trees
Right.
are gonna have to come down just to, I think that's what caused some of the problem,
Yeah.
the limbs falling in and then.
Well, hopefully Janice and maybe Stan's people can get a lot of that cleaned out, and they will take care of that. But
I don't mind going by there tomorrow, Rob and I'll go by there tomorrow and see if we can find the attic space.
Yeah.
We have a ladder and just see if we can just get a quick visual of what we see, because it's not been done. So let us, do that and we'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Mark, do you think there's any chance of getting a roofer to look at that and give us an estimate without?
I had an estimate one time from a roofing company,
It was pretty expensive.
It's a little bit at least 300,000.
They were just looking at it.
measured shingles
Yeah.
to see what it was
See,
gonna be.
You remember what it was?
Yeah, I know who it was, seamless roofing.
And how much did
I
they?
don't remember the quote, but I may have it on the old email.
Let me ask you this. A regular residential roofer couldn't do this, it's a commercial roofer.
Well, it would all still have to be bid out. Anything over $50,000 commercial has to be bid out, right?
Anything over $50,000 on a JPW.
Okay, well, it's gonna be over 50. This is gonna, I mean, by state law, it's gonna have to be bid out, but right now, we're just trying to figure out what we're gonna bid out and see how bad really the decking is.
What happens if an outside source
I was gonna
wants
ask you
to
about
pay for that to be done? Does it have to be bid?
If they pay for
That's
it,
great. You can bring that
they
up.
pay the contractor, then no, it does not have to be bid. But if they donate us the money to pay for it, then the money ultimately becomes ours and it still has to be bid.
What do you know?
You know what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't
So-
have to, we don't have to bid out professional services like an architect, you can just pick and choose.
Does the
But
parents-
you
does the
could
parents
send out
know
a
what
request
it is?
for proposal to see what architect A would charge to do it, architect
Yeah,
B,
that ain't coming out of their
architect
pocket.
C.
His parents
Same
should
way
get
with
money.
windows, right? Individuals want to put the windows.
They're paying the contract.
When we give those their scholarship and stuff, we need to make sure that Ben is there taking pictures and push it out, and not when
And is
other
the
parents
chimneys
ask.
gonna
Well,
end up
we
coming
know
off?
anything about this.
So that,
What your school did.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I'm sure your
simplifies
children
it.
are much better than mine
they're gonna
are.
have
There's
to
a lot of
put
times they
decking
come in, they
and
don't.
I think it was all leaking.
Tomorrow's field trip. What do you need tomorrow's a field trip?
As much as I'd like for that to stay because it was all the old school,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be something we need to hang. with.
He's the problem
Okay,
child.
do that and let me know what
Okay,
you
you
think.
think.
And, I will work towards, maybe we'll see how we can get some individuals or a group of individuals that be willing for them to take care of the roof. Or if somebody in Birmingham that we know, may know a roofer that would come in and do the roof for us. And we may be able to not have to bid all of it, and we'd have some, they would be in control of fixing it. Is what I'd like, and the windows too.
But so the count,
No, Terry, that even if they pay for only part of it, and then we have to pay for it.
No, they're all gonna pay
I just
together.
want you to know, just in case, if like something comes up where you're $10,000 short and we have to pay that And it still has to be bid out because it's the cost of the total project, not just the cost of what we're
Well,
spending.
if we can get this done, it won't involve any of that. I understand,
I just wanted to
I
make sure
understand,
that you got part
I got you, but let's just see how far we can go with this. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Terry.
I think we can get that roof and those windows up.
I think, I mean, we're all on the same page, are we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
When would the, architect come in after we're done?
No.
Probably needs to come in now. That needs to be our next step, is trying to find someone to look
Just
at
let
that.
them get a cursory look what Terry can do first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, figure out what we got. We'll
Take what pictures you could.
Yeah.
Nothing else from me. Mayor's got something.
You good? Mayor?
One quick thing. Laura Copeland was our treasurer, so we are without a treasurer at this point. We need to appoint someone to that position. State really requires that you have a treasurer in place. And I would recommend that y'all appoint Bert, to do that, since she's kind of.
Even though she's still on the payroll?
Have to be a full-time.
Yeah, well, she's
Has
on
to be
contract.
full-time?
so
Okay,
no,
I got you.
We need to go ahead and appoint somebody. We don't have to do it tonight, just want y'all to be aware, and maybe if y'all okay, let y'all object violently. Y'all object as much as Bert did.
Well, she is a,
No.
she is
You
a
sit over there
treasurer.
saying, pick me, pick me.
Well, I mean, is it something you wanna do tonight, get it over
No,
with?
no, it'll be okay, we'll do it next time.
Bert's thinking I should have stayed at home that night.
Hey, Bert, put on another hat. Put on another hat.
Well, look, she's gotta start doing the budget.
She is a treasurer.
She's
already.
basically
She
doing it
is.
anyway.
What about filling that spot? Gosh. Fix that.
We have 4 or 5 applicants, none of them sit on dust, and that's gonna get, we're back to square.
Anything else?
No, thank you, sir.
I have one quick thing. That's what reminded me of it. And we're talking about getting information out. We do, no, and Ben's doing a great job, and I think our social media is doing well. But we have people that do not.
Have social media.
They're not on their phones. They're on their devices all the time. I asked the mayor that, since he wears 2 different hats, if there's times or even monthly, if we need CD to put something in an envelope and send it out, the only way we'll get it to every, and correct me if I'm wrong, at one time, because I said every citizen or every household, and you said that
Every
you think.
water customer.
Yeah. It's through the waterworks.
Oh, yeah.
There's a program that we knew about internet and vouchers for internet. We had a meeting last week, when we had that meeting about the internet services. But how to get that information out. Those who need it or do not have internet are not gonna have the opportunities or the ability to get what we are sending out electronically. So at times, partner up, and even if we may have to pay the postage on those particular mail outs, just make sure everyone, I was just
It'd be
checking if
worth it.
everybody's okay with it, and I was gonna ask the mayor if he would get with the other side there and see what we can do.
I think
Moving
it's
on.
a good idea.
I do too.
Tony,
Sir?
I talked with the Waterworks, they currently send out postcards,
Mm-hmm.
and they do have a space, very limited space for notes, but they're not currently stuffing envelopes, so that would be,
Well, who's doing these?
We contract that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's what I'm saying, whatever that cost would be, something we need to look at, that I'm sure they wouldn't wanna pay for it, but since it's our information, I'd be okay.
We were, the Public Service Commission requires those to be
Mhm,
sent
right.
out, and we contract with somebody to do that.
You're not sure of cost, what?
I'm not, but I find out.
But yeah, they have very limited space on the card. Not enough space to try to explain or where people would go to especially that's what's in place, but the vouchers for internet. If there's nothing else, we'll adjourn and come back in about 5 minutes. Thank you all. attention, we'll call this meeting to order. And as you all please stand for the invocation given to us by Reverend Robert Fowler. Then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a special guest announcement.
Good evening. I invite you all to bow your heads with me. Gracious God, we ask you to fill our city, state, and national political leaders with wisdom, understanding, discernment, and knowledge. Grant them favor, increase their faith, and prepare them to pursue your excellence. Draw them to you and cause them to know and fulfill your purposes. Please place people in their paths that will provide wise and sound guidance, for without your counsel, their plans may go awry. Impart your wisdom and revelation to them and help them to lead. Bestow upon our local leaders the strength to keep their hearts and motives pure and to guide this fair city of Jacksonville. We ask you to make their hearts pliable, willing, and obedient to your will. And finally, we beseech you, cause each of their lives to glorify your most holy name. Amen.
Councilmember Lester.
Okay, we have a special guest, Tristan Strong, and I met her at the farmer's market this weekend, and she came to the meeting tonight, so we're gonna let her lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Laster? Here. Mr. Galloway?
Here. Everyone being present, we'll go next to item 5, the adoption of the minutes. Any questions, comments on that?
Sir.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 6, the adoption of the agenda. Believe we have a deletion?
We do. To the main agenda, delete item 8, consider action to enter into an executive session under the provisions of the Code of Alabama, section 36-25A-7A6 to discuss the sale of real property. Also to the main agenda, add item 11A, consideration of resolution number R-2178-23, establishing and regulating the special response team for the city of Jacksonville. Also to the main agenda, add item 11B, consider action to declare the purchase of equipment for the special response team as a purchase under section 41-16-51, contracts for which competitive bidding is not required, item 15 of the Code of Alabama, and to authorize the mayor to approve the purchases of any equipment needed up to $160,000 for the outfitting of the special response team. And then finally, to the main agenda, amend item 26, consider action to adjourn into an executive session under the provisions of the Code of Alabama, section 36-25A-7A6 to discuss the sale of real property.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended? So moved. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion 6 seconds. Okay. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 7 is proclamations. I do not believe we have any tonight, so we'll move on to item 8. Yeah, wait, that's out. Thank you. Look at that. Right now, we'll be going into public comments concerning any agenda item. Anything you'd like to address the council with that is on the current agenda, this is time to do so. Seeing no one come forward, now we'll move on.
Item 10 is consider action to receive the Planning Commission report and petition of JPI Holdings LLC regarding a street vacation request for a portion of unapproved Alabama Street Northwest, and schedule a public hearing for same on June 12, 2023 at 7:00 p.m.
Alright, have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Alright, any discussion? Alright, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried. Alright, item 11.
Consideration of resolution number R-2177-23 regarding emergency services to Jacksonville State University.
Alright, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 11A.
Consideration of resolution number R-2178-23, establishing and regulating the special response team for the city of Jacksonville.
So moved.
That resolution's gonna have to be read out loud since it was added, and I'll read it, Mr. Green. Resolution number R-2178-23, a resolution establishing and regulating the special response team for the city of Jacksonville. Whereas the city council of the city of Jacksonville, Alabama, has determined that it is in the best interest of the city of Jacksonville to establish and regulate a program for a special response team to be prepared to respond to and resolve high-risk situations and emergencies requiring specialized intervention techniques and equipment. And whereas the special response team will consist of sworn officers who have volunteered to the various positions and who have completed a selection process consisting of a minimum of a physical assessment course and interview, and who will, upon selection, will be required to complete required training. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Jacksonville, Alabama, that a special response team be established per Attachment A of this resolution, passed and adopted this 8th day of May 2023, approved by Johnny L. Smith, Mayor, attested by Brenda Long, City Clerk, and signed by all council members.
Alright, motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 11B.
Consider action to declare the purchase of equipment for the special response team as a purchase under section 41-16-51, contracts for which competitive bidding is not required, item 15 of the Code of Alabama, and to authorize the mayor to approve the purchases of any equipment needed up to $160,000 for the outfitting of the special response team.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 12.
Consider action to approve JPWP number 23-119, test well at Greenleaf per the attached.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 13.
Consider action to approve the local government administrative contract with East Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission for technical and professional services with JPWP number 23-114, CDBG sewer projects per the attached.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 14.
Consider action to authorize the mayor on behalf of the Waterworks Gas and Sewer Board to sign the agency agreement with Symmetry Energy Solutions, LLC, per the attached.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 15.
Consider action to approve the amended job description of fire engineer paramedic, range 12A per the attached, and request the Civil Service Board's approval of same.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 16.
Consider action to approve the employment of the following. A is Caitlin Grace Pritchett, part-time public safety communication officer, range 12, effective upon compliance with ordinance number 273, due to the resignation of Alan Parander. Item B is Chris Aguirre, hard spring and summer concessions, effective May 10th, 2023, September 5th, 2023. Then item C is Leanne Smith, gatekeeper, effective May 10th, 2023 through September 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 17.
Consider action to approve the probationary termination of the following. Nicholas James Lamb, police officer, effective May 3rd, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 18.
Consider action to accept a retirement notification for the following. Cephas Cannon, equipment operator 2, effective August 1, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Consent agenda.
Item 19, budget amendment requests. Item 20, purchases over $7,500. Item 21, disposition of surplus property.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Now it's time for public comments on any general item. Anything you'd like to address the council, this is the time to do so. Just come to the podium, state your name and address, and before you leave, make sure you give it to the city clerk, give them your information.
Okay, my name is Julie Schrum, and y'all know Tristan. And, our address is 1301 Hatcher Avenue here in Jacksonville. And we've been a resident for a very, very long time. And, I've talked to her, Sherry Lancaster at, Jemena Springs. It's been a while. And then, and then we see you just about every weekend at the Jacksonville Farmers Market. But, I've wanted to ask this for a very long time, but, you know, as far as my family goes, we have to drive out of town at least 15 to 30 minutes away for, like, activities like for a splash pad and stuff that opens before the city pool ever does. And the seasons extend longer. And I was wanting to know if maybe y'all were interested in doing that or encouraging that, because there's not really anything outside of that, you know, in Jacksonville. And you know, Jemena Springs is infested with snakes, so and the pool's getting overcrowded, so I was just kind of curious as to why we didn't do anything like that.
Thank you, ma'am. We don't normally respond, we just listen to the comments, but I will tell you that's something that's been in the works but before any of us was sitting in these chairs.
Yeah.
And it's just, to the point, it's just finding the financial time to do it. They're fairly costly, and, just get to that point. But thank you for your input.
Thank you.
And thank you once again. That was a great job with the budget.
Thank you, Tristan.
Ma'am, can you come?
Yes.
Put your name on it.
My name is Jacob Williamson. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to mention that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. will be our State of Law Enforcement. We will have updates from various from our municipal police chiefs, county sheriff. I believe the University Police Department will also be there, as well as ALEA, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and I believe a few other groups. But it will be at the Anniston Regional Fire Training Center at 9 a.m. and we welcome anyone interested to attend. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the council? Seeing no one come forward, councilmember remarks.
That we have next Monday will be Peace Officer Memorial Day, and I know the state of law enforcement kind of coincides with the month of May and with Peace Officers Memorial Day coming up next Monday. And unfortunately, I know the city of Jacksonville has had peace officers killed in the line of duty protecting the citizens of Jacksonville. And so although we will not be meeting on that Monday of next week, I would like to ask if we could just take a moment of silence to remember those individuals, and then also thank our law enforcement for what they do. And just as we have approved here tonight, continue to see lives are senselessly being lost across our country. And so if everyone will, let's just take a moment of silence to remember those that we've lost in the line of duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any?
This week is Teachers Appreciation Week, so please go thank a teacher.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome. There's plenty more besides me, and they would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
And I have the information about the scholarships. We have given out 5 $1,000 scholarships, and the names of them, for the first generation scholarship, her name is Amberly McNeil. She's a JCA senior. We have 2 health science scholarships, Jada Giddings and Catherine Comasack. And we have 2 scholarships for leadership, which will be given to Mason Terrell and Caitlin Clark. And these are all Jacksonville High School students. Congratulations.
When will we have an opportunity to mention?
May the 18th. May the 18th at 9:30, I think, is the the senior celebration at Jacksonville High School.
Anyone else? All right, Mayor's report.
Just a couple of announcements about some upcoming events. Fair on Square, it's always a big event for us. It's coming up on the 20th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So get that on your calendar. And that same weekend is She-Hulk Challenge, which also brings a lot of people to town. It's a big event. So just for the announcement, so you'll be aware of these things. And then JSU is going to be hosting the Alabama High School Athletic Association baseball playoffs at Jim Cage Stadium. And you see the schedule. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure I can read that, but you be aware of that, and you can look that up online. So if you want to go to some baseball games, we'll be bringing a lot of people to town, hopefully buying a lot of hamburgers and stuff. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Is there any other businesses that come before the council? All right, hearing none. Ms. Burke?
Consider action to enter into an executive session under the provisions of the Code of Alabama, Section 36-25A-786, to discuss the sale of real property.
All right, we'll be adjourning before we go into executive session, so we will not be returning. So thank you all for being here tonight. So, got a second on that? Motion and second? We got a motion?
I'll second.
Motion second, any discussion? All right, roll call?
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Laster?
Here.
Mr.
Yes.
Galloway?
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.